The state editor creates the submission package and enters the information into the reviewable units. Reviewable units are sections within the state plan amendment. All submission packages will have submission reviewable units included. Then there will be program-specific reviewable units, in this case, Medicaid eligibility and administration units. The Medicaid and eligibility and administration reviewable units generally align with Medicaid eligibility and admin SPA sections in MMDL. Now we're going to move back into the training environment to create a submission package as the state editor. Now we're logging in to the system as the state editor to create a submission package that will eventually be sent to CMS. You'll notice that the initial login page for MacPro looks identical to the CMS Enterprise portal. After logging in on the Enterprise portal with your EIDM credentials, you will be automatically routed to MacPro. As a reminder, we are working in the training environment today, and the information you see during the demonstration is arbitrary and only being used for training purposes. Upon login, we are initially taken to the Actions tab. As a reminder, the Actions tab includes various activities that you could complete as a state editor in Nebraska. You will notice that there are some quality measure actions listed on this page. These links will only be available to you if you have access to the specific quality measures, in addition to Medicaid State Plan. For Medicaid State Plan SPAs, anything that is submitted to CMS begins as a submission package. A submission package is a collection of reviewable units or sections that make up a submission that CMS will review. To get started, let's select Create Submission Package. We will begin today by creating a simple submission package that states are encouraged to create first. Each submission package contains submission reviewable units and Medicaid eligibility reviewable units. Our simple submission package will contain one Medicaid eligibility reviewable unit and will serve as a way to acclimate you to the submission process in MacPro. We'll go through a more complicated SPA later on today. Before we get started with filling out the information, we're going to pause to take a note from Stephanie Bell from CMS, and we'll also field a couple questions that might have come in through the chat box.
I will just say, and this sort of goes into the next section, that recognizing that not every state will have a MAGI SPA to submit in the near future, and knowing that the best way to learn something is to do it, we've identified a SPA that is just one piece of general information and will give you all an opportunity to try out using the system. This is the SPA we're going to go through in our demo here. It's financial eligibility for non-MAGI groups, and it has to be completed before most other eligibility RUs can be accessed. The SPA is very simple, which is why we've identified it here. It has just one question. And it will be important further down the line as we get additional functionalities into MacPro. We would recommend, although it's not required, that if you want to submit this RU now, it's a good opportunity to try out completing a SPA, moving it through your process, and getting it submitted to CMS. So because there won't be any policy issues, or there shouldn't in this SPA, we thought it was a good opportunity both for states and for CMS to make sure that everything's functioning correctly.
All right, so continuing on, we are currently on the Submission Summary Reviewable Unit. We will consider this as the cover page for what your state will send to CMS. The Submission Summary RU includes many of the same functions as the current CMS Form 179. The Submission Summary RU is information that you can enter at the beginning of your SPA. To avoid extra clicking, we're going to select the View All Responses button directly underneath the View Implementation Guide link. This expands each section on the page, and you can choose to maximize or minimize the sections by selecting the plus/minus button in the upper right corner of the section as well. The Submission Summary RU includes important information such as the summary, the statute regulations citations, the submission type, and contact information. This page must be filled out for all submission packages sent to CMS within MacPro. Before we get started filling out this info, you'll notice at the top and bottom of the page there is a timeline. This will be on each unit that you fill out within your submission package. The timeline will not be marked as complete until the information on this page has been validated and saved. The upper part of this page also includes package header information. Right now, many of these fields show as NA, but these will be updated as you fill out the fields in your package. Additionally, there is a link to the implementation guides on the right-hand side of the page. This guide provides explanations of the components of the page along with review criteria. We encourage you to utilize the implementation guides to assist you in completing your submission package within MacPro. So let's begin entering our information. As you can see, the first two sections are already pre-populated and cannot be edited. This is based on what is available in MacPro at this time and what was populated into your state profile. The next section is the submission type section. This is an important section where you may determine if you are creating a draft or an official submission. At this time, for our simple SPA, we will create an official submission package. An official submission starts the 90-day clock once submitted to CMS. We will discuss the differences between a draft and an official submission package in detail later on. Next, we will allow other states to view our SPA. And then we're going to complete the key contact section by adding a key contact to the table. The list is populated from information in the state profile. If it needs to be updated, reach out to your state system administrator for them to update the key contact information. As a reminder, only the SSA may update the state profile information. Next, we're going to enter a SPA ID. Below this text box, there's a note indicating the format that the SPA ID should follow. The format is state abbreviation, year, and sequence number. The last four letters are optional for specific SPA types. For this, we're going to enter NE174688C. Also in this section is the opportunity to enter a proposed effective date. As indicated by the note below the header, we must first complete the Submission Medicaid State Plan Reviewable Unit and then return to the section to enter the proposed effective date for all RUs. So we're going to move on to the executive summary portion. There's a text box available for the summary description, including goals and objectives. At the bottom left corner of the text box, there is a gray character count telling us that we have up to 4,000 characters that we may include in the section. To save time during our training, we're just going to enter some basic info, such as summary. The next section is the Dependency Description section. This may be used in the situation when the SPA you are submitting has a connection to another SPA that is either also being submitted or has already been submitted. Indicating the connection in the section assists CMS in ensuring that both are reviewed together. For this training, we are going to enter arbitrary information of dependency. And to speak further to what should be entered in these fields, I'm going to hand it off to Stephanie Bell.
Thank you. So this is a great opportunity both for you and for CMS to just point out any dependencies with other spas. So if you have an RU in this spa that you've already got another copy of that same RU pending, you could describe here why you're submitting the same RU again, even though it hasn't yet been approved in another spa. It's also a good opportunity just to note any dependencies perhaps between this submission and another submission that you're also submitting, so that both CMS and the state are completely clear on the interaction between the spas, and we can make sure that we move them forward in the appropriate order.
Great, thanks, Stephanie. So next we're going to select that the submission is not disaster related, and we'll also include the federal budget impact. Our first fiscal year is 2016, and our second will automatically populate as 2017. Our corresponding amounts are negative 100,000 and 125,000. Please note that to enter a negative number, simply just put the negative sign in front of the amount. Commas or any other symbols are not accepted in this field. Next, we'll include the federal statute regulation citation section. Again, we're going to enter arbitrary information such as statute. And then we'll include the governor's office review. We'll select no response within 45 days. Finally, the last section we see is the authorized submitter section. The section is not editable. The state point of contact's information will be populated here upon submitting the package to CMS. Once the Medicaid State Plan Reviewable Unit is completed, we will return here to add the proposed effective date for the program. For now, we will select Save Reviewable Unit, and then we'll return later to the section to validate it. We receive a message asking if we want to change the submission type of this package, and this is simply referring to making the submission package an official package versus the default option of draft package. We'll select yes. Notice that once we saved, the submission summary page is now marked as in progress. And we can see this in the timeline at the bottom of the screen. The reviewable unit will be marked as complete once the information is validated and saved. The system is designed so that the summary unit cannot be validated and saved until the Medicaid State Plan Reviewable Unit is completed. To continue to the next reviewable unit, we will choose the next section in the drop-down menu. As a reminder, each section is known as a reviewable unit, or RU for short. There are submission reviewable units with every submission package, and more RUs will populate soon depending on our answers to this next RU, the Submission Medicaid State Plan Reviewable Unit. We'll select that option from the drop-down, and then we'll go to the selected reviewable unit by selecting Go to Selected Reviewable Unit. Again, the timeline at the bottom and the top of the page is in the Not Started status. Additionally, at the top of the page, our package header has been updated based on the information included in the previous submission summary reviewable unit. You will see that there is also a package ID. The package ID consists of the two-letter state abbreviation, the year, the authority, in this case MS for Medicaid State Plan, an automatic number assignment, and the letter O for official or D for draft. The package ID is used to track this submission package. This RU has one section, and the goal is to determine the submission package's purpose. As you can see from the red message at the bottom of the screen, you must select at least one component in order to complete this form. There are 3 checkboxes to choose from: the administration, eligibility, and benefits and payment. Please note that these checkboxes are dynamic, which means that upon selection, they will bring up additional options. If we check the box next to eligibility, you'll see additional options have become available. And for this example, we will check the box next to methodologies for calculating income and resources that apply across many eligibility groups. Additional options appear under this header, and we will choose financial eligibility requirements for non-MAGI groups. This brings up further information pertaining to the financial eligibility requirements for non-MAGI groups RU. There's an empty circle in the column labeled Included in Another Submission Package. If we hover over the empty circle, we are told that this icon indicates that this RU is not included in another submission package that has not yet been dispositioned. This information is important to pay attention to because the potential for you to overwrite information exists when there are two versions of a reviewable unit in progress at the same time. In this case, the RU is not included in another submission package that is still awaiting adjudication. There's also another column indicating the source type of this RU. Right now, the source type is listed as new, and this means that we'll be starting with a blank template of the reviewable unit. If the source type is listed as approved, this means you are starting with previously approved information in MacPro. A converted source type would indicate that the reviewable unit is populated with data from a SPA migrated from the Medicaid Model Data Lab, or MMDL. Now that we've selected our RU that we wish to include in this package, you will notice that the Yes is pre-populated for validation in the RU. And this is because there's only one subsection to complete on this page. So we will click Save Form. Once it's saved, the Medicaid eligibility specific reviewable units will become available in the reviewable unit drop-down list towards the end of the screen. We're going to proceed with quickly filling out the other two submission reviewable units. These RUs are pretty straightforward, so we're going to select Submission Public Comment from the drop-down box and go to that RU. We're going to enter some arbitrary information in order to save time here, and after our selection has been made, we will select Yes to validate the reviewable unit, and we will save the reviewable unit. The last reviewable unit for submission RUs is the tribal input. We're going to select this option from the drop-down box and we'll go to that reviewable unit. Again, we're going to enter some sample information. And as a reminder, after your information has been entered, you have to validate the reviewable unit and then save it. Now we're going to take a look at the reviewable unit we selected for the submission package. So we're going to choose financial requirements for non-MAGI groups from the drop-down box, and we're going to navigate to it. Before we begin filling any information out, we're going to hear another note from Stephanie on the importance of this reviewable unit.
Thanks, Avni. So you may be asking yourself, why am I completing financial eligibility requirements for non-MAGI groups when the RUs that are going to be available now in MacPro are for MAGI-based eligibility groups? And the answer is that we have built the system such that all of the eligibility groups can be transitioned into it. And this means that when we get to the place where all the groups are listed, it includes both MAGI and non-MAGI groups. And in order to correctly populate that list, we need to know if your state is an SSI Criteria state, a 1634 state, or a 209B state. So that's the information that is captured in this reviewable unit. And because we know that you already know the answer to that question and we already know the answer to that question, this is an excellent RU to use for practice to make sure that you understand how the system works. So after today's demo, if you have access to MacPro and you want to go in and complete this RU and move it through the process, it's a great way to put to work the knowledge that you've gathered today.
Thanks, Stephanie. So we're on the financial eligibility RU, and you'll notice that we're starting with a blank template of it. The first section for the financial eligibility methodology section contains a mandatory checkbox stating that the state determines financial eligibility consistent with the methodologies described in 42 CFR. We're going to select this checkbox. The second section allows us to select one of 3 radio buttons to describe the basis by which eligibility is determined for aged, blind, and disabled individuals. We'll select the radio button next to State Eligibility Determination SSI Criteria State. The Financial Responsibility of Relatives section contains a mandatory checkbox. We're going to select this checkbox. The last section is optional as indicated in the title, Additional Information Optional. And except in limited circumstances, this field should remain blank, so we're going to skip this text box. And now that our selections have been made, we are going to validate the reviewable unit and save it. It's important to know that you may save the reviewable unit at any point and return to it later to complete it. Now that all of our reviewable units are complete, let's return to the submission summary reviewable unit to fill out the proposed effective date. At the bottom of the page, we're selecting the submission summary RU from the drop-down box, and then we're going to go to that selected reviewable unit. Again, we'll use the View All Responses button to expand all sections at once. We're going to scroll down to the SPA ID and Effective Date section. Let's answer yes to the question that asks us if we want to enter the same effective date for all RUs. After selecting yes, an additional proposed effective date field will appear. If we click in that box, a calendar will appear and we will choose October 28th, 2017. This populates the proposed effective date for all reviewable units included in this package. The other question in this section asks, do you want to enter the same superseded SPA ID for all reviewable units? We will select no. We'll leave the superseded SPA ID text box blank for this example since it's the first SPA we are entering in MacPro. We will come back to this section later on in the demonstration to provide further guidance. So let's scroll to the bottom of the page and validate the reviewable unit. And then we'll save. We're now ready to submit the package to the State Point of Contact, or SPOC, for review. Let's select the Records tab from the upper toolbar to locate this SPA. We're going to scroll down and choose Submission Packages, View All Submission Packages for your state. Next, we're going to select the SPA that we just created, ending in 4688C. From the Package Navigation menu, let's select the Reviewable Units option. If we scroll through this list, we see that each reviewable unit has a green circle with a check mark in it. When we hover our mouse over this, it means that these reviewable units are complete. And as a reminder, all RUs have to be complete before you can submit it to the state point of contact. And to make a reviewable unit in the complete status, all RUs have to be validated and saved. We are now ready to submit the package to the state point of contact or SPOC for review. To do so, we'll go to Related Actions from the navigation menu, and we'll select Forward Package to State POC for review. The package information and audit information are listed here for you to double check that you are forwarding the correct submission package to the SPOC. After we double check this information, we will select the workflow action to forward the submission package to SPOC. After that, we can provide some instructions. This is an opportunity to let the SPOC know perhaps where to focus their review, but it can be used for any message that you wish. This does not replace your informal communication channels, but can be thought of like a temporary sticky note on top of the package that you are passing to their desk. We are entering a brief message here that says, "Please review, thanks." Next, we'll execute the action by selecting that button and selecting yes to the prompt.